Hey, welcome back to A Faster Me. Once again, our team sponsor, Building Block Construction, is helping me provide you this video. So their description, I'll have a link in their description, all their info in the description. So yeah, let's get to some racing. This is the Major Motion Hughes Parkway Crit, and this is the 50 plus 123 category. So we'll start off with a little bit of a what is like a course preview here. And yeah, if you can see the map in the top left, it's a pretty simple course, just your kind of cookie cutter crit. The only difference is most of our kind of industrial park crits are pretty much 90-degree turns, and here it's a little different. Most of these turns are wide open. I think this is the only 90-degree turn, and it's really not tight at all. The street's not as wide as some of our 4-lane crits that we have. You can see the lanes are cut down just a little bit, but yeah, it's still plenty wide. There's a lot of room. The surface isn't the greatest, but it's actually not that bad either. You know, it's pretty bumpy, but nothing that causes any issues. I think I only hit one little dip or hump or something that, you know, can kind of jar your handlebars loose or something. But other than that, you know, it's decent surface, just an old road that probably needs to be repaved, but it's not too bad. So yeah, anyway, like you said, this is turn 3 here, and you can see it's virtually not even a turn. It's really just a little kink. So the speed's pretty high. Yeah, it's just a fast flowing course. We averaged, I think, 27 something, a little over 27 miles per hour. And with that 27 miles per hour, you know, I think this was probably the least amount of power I've ever averaged in a race before. I think I cut unfortunately I'm in a crash later, so I end up cutting the Wahoo off and stuff a little late, but I averaged barely 200 watts normalized power for this just because there's so much drafting. Even though the speed's high, it's really flowing, so it's not much stop and start, not too many surges. Hard to get breakaways on this type of course because the course is so fast and flowing. You're going to see there's guys that try to break away a little bit later, but for the most part, it's really hard to get a breakaway here just because the speed never slows down. Even now, like 25 is pretty slow for this type of course. So yeah, you'll get some guys kind of attacking whenever it slows down a little bit. As you see now, there's a guy going off the front, but there's a little bit of a cross headwind here on this section. And just because, again, the speed's so high, it's flowing, doesn't slow down enough, it's really hard to get away. There's nothing that's going to slow down the peloton, you know, to allow a break to really get any significant time on us. So yeah, after the first crit, you know, I was pretty passive. You know, I stepped it up just a little bit in this crit, nothing too special. You know, a lot of it is more of the same for me, but at the same time, you know, I've learned kind of like how these guys race a little bit. Nothing, I mean, you know, I'm not like a 50 plus expert or anything like that yet, but just a lot more comfortable in the field. Got a race under my belt now, so yeah, I kind of knew a lot more what to expect here. Another first time course, but you know, like I said, there's nothing special on this course whatsoever. It's open. You know, I had a pretty good off season as far as fitness wise, because right now I'm virtually detraining by, you know, running my own team. Haven't had enough time to put in for myself or to focus on myself. Last week took the girls team out to Valley of the Sun so they can compete in that 3-day stage race, and I hadn't been on my bike really but once or twice since the last race. So I pretty much have 5 days, I think, off the bike here for a week. And then this last week I got back on the bike. Didn't get to do any running while I was out there either. So I got back on the bike this week, you know, started off with some nice VO2 sessions, some repeat efforts. The first time I got back on the bike just to warm my legs up, I couldn't even hold threshold for the little 4-minute blocks. My legs were kind of destroyed from all the walking and being a one-man team running around for the girls in Phoenix. But yeah, I was able to get a good 20 by 40 session in on Thursday, and then just some nice little endurance rides to kind of wake my legs up a little bit, and then some openers on Saturday. So yeah, I guess I'm not in as bad a shape as I thought I was, just detraining. So I guess I had a good off season, had a pretty good base, and yeah, I didn't have a problem like basically in either one of these races. This one's super easy, like I said, just because the drafting is so, so significant in this race. My average power was like, I'm guessing it was probably in the 170s, but the Wahoo said 168 average power and something like 205 normalized. And yeah, I never averaged that low. I haven't averaged that low even when I was like a Cat 5 or a Cat 4, never averaged that low. So yeah, that's how, for the most part, that's how easy the race was as far as effort. And I'm not sure, like those stats could be wrong a little bit, because as you can see, my heart rate is definitely not 71. So maybe there's a little bit of glitching going on too with my Wahoo or something. Yeah, so again, I kind of like those big orange kits. Easy to point out, stand out a lot. Yeah, just a new design. I kind of commented on those last time, but yeah, I'm feeling those big orange kits. I just like the color scheme. Yeah, so overall, not like last week. I think Evoke did a good job of like controlling this race, and that's not a knock on them for last week or anything. They told me some of the guys reached out after seeing the video, because I didn't know what happened. I was so far back, and they kind of told me like how the brake got away, and obviously they weren't happy about it, but it's kind of it happens. And so in this one, I think they were determined for sure not to let a brake get away unless they were in it. And I saw at one point too, some of the big orange guys tried to get in the break. I told Anthony, I saw Anthony tell one of his guys, I think it was Attila, to get in the break, and of course he did. And just like I said, with this type of course and as fast as it is and as much as it flows, it's just really hard to get a break. You really have to have really good teamwork with people shutting down the brake, and most people are smart enough to know to get around that and still can be able to run it down. As long as there's a little bit of a uniformed effort, the brake would probably get ran back. So once again, and just like a flash of being a little too conservative back here, you see I'm at the back of the pack. I think we started with roughly 60 riders today, a little bit down from the week before, but still a pretty large field, pretty good sized field. I saw the gentleman up here moving up on the left, so I decided to just follow him, take a couple spots to get towards the front a little bit. And I wasn't really concerned about it, like I said, because this was such a flowing course. It wasn't one that you can get caught out at too much. So I didn't mind being in the back a little bit or near the back. It's just, overall, it's just a bad habit a little bit, and it's not where you want to spend most of your time. So I will do a little bit better job this weekend of like just kind of moving up and down. You get shuffled back a little bit, then you got to make an effort to move back up to the front. Yeah, so I said it last week that unfortunately crashing is part of the sport, and like I said, I get caught up in a crash in this race. And yeah, I think I'm gonna have to learn how to wipe my butt with my left hand for a little while, because my shoulder is jacked. My right shoulder is jacked. I took pretty much all of the fall directly onto my right shoulder. Hopefully there's nothing broken in there. I'm feeling decent right now, but by tomorrow, who knows how I feel. And I'll probably go get an x-ray just in case. Like I did hit the ground pretty hard. And it's funny too, because everyone told me, hey, Masters is a lot safer, a lot easier, not easier but smoother, and everybody has to go to work tomorrow. But I don't know, I see people like really trying to fit into some tight spaces sometimes. So yeah, it's true, we all might have to work tomorrow, or maybe half the field's retired, who knows. But yeah, I don't know. It's bike racing, so I don't think there really is any truly like, low risk bike racing. The risk is always there, so we just have to mitigate those risks as much as possible. You can see again, like, because this course is so fast and it's not narrow, but it's more narrow than our four lane streets or whatever, like it can get stretched out pretty fast. Like I just said, the lap before I said I moved up a couple spots, and in 3 turns I'm back at the back again. Yeah, so that's Dustin up there on the right in the black with the white socks. And unfortunately, Dustin was caught in that crash with me too. And he said, that was your fault. He said, because your last video, you said crashing's a part of racing. And he said he just watched that video. So, yeah, I mean, unfortunately, maybe I threw some bad karma in the air. I'm not sure. But, yeah, it is actually part of the sport. And, it just is what it is. It's kind of funny, when I used to race motorcycles, they said that you should expect about 5 crashes per year. Obviously, it's a lot different because motorcycle racing, you're trying to find the limit, and usually that limit comes at the expense of your front tire washing out. But yeah, it's a little different thing, and we got on leathers and pads and all that kind of stuff. You crash in motorcycle racing, like, which I have as well. Half the time, you're not hurt at all. You get up, hopefully fix your bike, and then you race again, whenever your race comes or whatever. Shout out to Tony Dominguez too, right there to my right in the Stage 2 kit. Tony was right in the mix of that, the madness that happens later. But good on him. He stayed up. He kind of got squeezed from one side, and another guy tried to squeeze in between him and another rider, and all 3 of them went down, and Tony was able to make it through there, but I think his bike may have sustained a little bit of damage. So I'm not sure if he finished the race or not. I did see him on the side of the road, like where I was at near the crash, but that was a couple minutes later, so he may have finished and came back around, or he may have had to pull out because his bike got damaged. But yeah, you can see, like, it's not much going on in this crit, other than, a little bit of shuffling forward and backwards. Yeah, there's people trying to get off the front. I think during the middle of this race, there was maybe 4 or 5 attempts of people trying to form some type of break. But, like I said, it's really not it really doesn't have that great of a chance on this type of course. And of course, since the break stuck last week, everybody's going to be having their eye on that. So, but yes, I think it's Major Motion's first crit of the year that they're sponsoring. They have, I think, another one coming up later during the year. And yeah, I mean, I kind of like it. I like the course. I think they did a good job. I never came out to do the crit practices, but it looks like it's been cleaned up a lot. I've seen the videos. Obviously, it looks different when there's no cars on the road, but sometimes it was a lot of trash, homeless encampments and stuff like that. So, yeah, I think they did a pretty good job of cleaning it up. We had a good showing for the day and some pretty nice races. Unfortunately, there was kind of a lot of crashes in the races, and I don't see the danger in this course as far as, like, having that many crashes. So I think it was more rider error this weekend instead of anything the course that the course could have influenced. So yeah, I don't know. There was more. I didn't expect this many crashes. So sorry for all the stuttering. It's a little bit late and I am in a little bit of pain. So. Yeah, this turn here had a little bit of dirt in it, but honestly, the grip was fine. Grip levels were really good, throughout this course. Just a little bit of bumps, and I think that was the only bump right there that was kind of significant. Maybe it's a manhole cover, but other than that, like I said before, the course had good, decent surface. I wouldn't say good, but it was a decent surface. Had a little bit of vibration in you, though, so I did have a little bit of numbness, like, really late in the race, but other than that, it was good enough. We can't be too picky. There's not too many places that keep, letting you get permits at a decent price and all that kind of stuff. So there's Bart to the left right there, and I hate to throw the spoiler alert out there, but I think Bart won the race. Evoke had a pretty nice control over the race when it came down to crunch time, which was obviously one of their plans or their plan to begin with. So yeah, kudos to them pulling off the game plan, to their satisfaction, or good enough at least to get the win. Shout out to Miss Chia right here too in the race. It's kind of funny. This might be the little sequence. I was behind her for a little while, and it's great. She does a great job racing, but she's so small, and I'm a little bit taller. And I was just like, you know what? I gotta get around her. I need to draft the person that she's drafting, instead of sitting back a little bit. So I try to come around, and yeah, I try to get onto this guy, and I knew she was, kind of like right behind me. So I was behind her a couple times in the race, or next to her a couple times in the race, and like I said, she's a great racer, does a great job, and she's super fit. I think more so this year, I just noticed she's like a new person basically, but yeah, she's just small to be behind. Not the greatest draft, especially because I'm a little higher and I can feel a little bit of wind like actually on my face. So. Yeah, and I know talking before the race, I know sometimes people thought this front straight might get a little narrow, but for the most part, it's wide. Even as it narrows down to the start-finish line, it's really wide. The only time I, had a little thought of it being narrow was when I was on the right side over there, and the peloton's kind of thick, and you know, if someone just moves out of the way when there's a cone or delineator or whatever there, that could catch you off by surprise a little bit. But other than that, once you know that those barriers kind of funnel in like that, then obviously it's our jobs to be cautious of them and be just, aware of our surroundings. I still don't know everybody's names in this field yet, so it's gonna take me a while to learn everyone, and like I said, kind of know who's who and stuff like that. I know some of the bigger names and some of the larger teams, but yeah, it'd be good to just actually know some of the riders and be able to identify them and just kind of keep an eye out for what their specialties are. Who's the breakaway guys? Who's the sprinters? All that kind of stuff. Who's the workhorses? Yeah, there's a decent amount of preems too, and just pretty much all day there was a decent amount of preems. It was kind of funny though, because when I saw when we signed up for this race, it looked like the 50 plus field was the only field without cash prizes. I think it just said prizes but not cash on this one. So yeah, the preems were cash, but I don't know if they gave the podium. I don't know if the podium just got prizes or if it was cash payout. But they had some good preems in some of the other races, $75, $100, and I think maybe the men's pro had a couple $200 preems. So yeah, like I said, it's pretty uneventful for the most part. Just that's the course layout is just felt like it feels like kind of like a practice crit almost. It's just so flowing. Kind of like steady speed the whole time, low effort, low energy. And I heard some of the other races, a lot of people were talking about how hard it was, how fast it was. And I don't know if that was like maybe their race had more surging in it, or if it was just their maybe lack of efficiency of not, sitting in a decent part of the field or a decent draft or whatever. But yeah, I heard a lot of people just talking about like how fast it was and how hard the races were. But that's kind of the beauty of bike racing also. Like the riders can make the race. The course may be set up one way, but it doesn't mean it has to race like we race this one. Other riders may be having some different tactics and making it a little more punchy. And of course, that can definitely tax you. Yeah, I think I lost a little opportunity there. I could have moved up a little further there, just using the rider on the right's energy. As he moved up the right, I could have just rode his draft a little bit, another 8 spots possibly. I think it was right at 524. Kind of all worked out. I'm still in the same spot, but, you really shouldn't take those things for granted. If someone's going to move up and you got a chance to use their energy, get a free ride, usually just got to get in the habit of taking that. So I think this is the slowest I've seen us go. We're down to 23 a second ago, and obviously this is super bunched. So, just kind of par for the course. I'm expecting someone to try to go off the front in a second. Anytime the race gets really slow, usually someone tries to go off the front. And if I can see correctly, I think there's 2 riders up front already. Obviously, the peloton's not too worried about them. Yeah, it's kind of bummer for my wife too. She was her race was next, and then of course somebody went and told her that I crashed, so she almost abandoned her race to come check on me or whatever. So I had to tell them like, no, run back over there to the start finish and tell her I'm fine, like she can go ahead and race. So this is what I'm talking about here. Like if you're here and you just kind of get shielded from those delineators or whatever, that's the only time it feels a little bit narrow, but it's no big deal. I mean, for the most part, the cones are there or whatever, so you got to expect that there's going to be another one in that about that same at that same angle. Yeah, so there I was a little slow, left the door open. Rider 547 kind of slid in there. I said it last time in the last video. Yeah, that's the difference too of some of the fields. Like you leave a little crease and someone's going to hit it on this field. Someone's going to slide in there. So yeah, we're pretty bunched up again, and you see on the left side there's a move that goes there. Again, like I said, I don't think these moves are going to ever go anywhere, but it's just going to stretch the field for a little bit and we'll be all back together again. If there was a little bit more wind on that backside that we just came from after turn 2, if there was a little bit more wind there, I think a brake might be able to stick. Just because it could cause a change in speed. But yeah, other than that, yeah, I don't think this is not really a big breakaway course. It is fun though. It is high speed. So Kendall wanted to get over there. I could see he was looking. I said, go ahead, which is great because I want to use his energy anyway to move up. So you see I spiked to about 700. Then, after that I was pretty chill. The power dropped tremendously. And yeah, for me, that's how I'd like to move up, using other people's energy, not really putting that effort in myself. and we went from about 40th spot to up here in the top 6, top 7. So I think this is where Anthony told Attila to go ahead and jump on that, try to get in that break, or either run it down. I don't know what his exact communication was, but I remember him telling them to go and get on that. So here I backed off a little bit purposely. I did not want to be in the top 5 because, again, with people trying to go off the front, I don't really want to volunteer myself to put that effort in. I'm out here riding solo. I'm not a breakaway type rider, so I'm not trying to get in that break, and I'm not really trying to run it down either. So I'd rather drop back to about 8th or 10th spot or so, get a couple wheels that I can follow, and let the guys that have some interest in that to put in the work. This race was a little shorter also. Usually the 50 plus races for 50 minutes. This one was going to be a 45-minute race. I don't know what we actually got to, but yeah, it was going to be a 45-minute race for whatever reason. Yeah, I think these surges here are just going for the preems. Like I said, there was some pretty good cash. I know Pat told me he got like $20. He was like, come on, where's the love? They could have been giving us some of those $50, $75, $100 preems. Definitely would have spiced up the race a little bit. All right, there's a little bit of urgency here, it looks like. But again, like I said, you can get up to speed so fast on this course. Like, yeah, I just don't see a breakaway outlasting 50 guys. A 50 rider blob's gonna move pretty fast. So, you get 4 or 5 guys off the front, against 50 guys on a course that's flowing like this, and yeah, it's a pretty tall task. Use this opportunity. I think I used this opportunity. Well, maybe I didn't. I think I thought about using that as an opportunity to move up. And for the most part, I like to be on the inside of this course, or the inside of every course, but this side in particular, this course in particular, because none of the turns are tight. So, yeah, you can really kind of run it in really tight on a course like this when the turns open up, so you don't have to worry about someone pinching you or anything else, because they're not going to be at such a steep lean angle for any extended periods of time. Just for like a fraction of a second, you're going to initiate turn in, and then you're basically going to be straight in your bike up again. Again, this is the tightest turn on the course here, and as you can see, it's not tight at all. The lap before, I think we went through at 30, 31. That time it was 22. But yeah, you can go through there, as fast as you want to go. And I pedaled through the turns most of the time, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe a soft pedal and then got back on it. But for the most part, I think I pedaled through every turn, obviously. My man in front of me here in the all black, yeah, I remember being behind him for a while. Gave me a solid draft. Bigger guy, taller guy, so definitely was a good draft for me while it lasted. It's kind of funny without looking at my power during the races. I wouldn't have thought we spiked so much coming out of turn 4. You know, I've seen a few times now 600-700 watts, which it's not a big deal. It's like just for a flash, but still, I wouldn't have. You know, I didn't think that I would spike that high coming out of that turn just because they are so flowing. Even though we do kind of slow down a lot going into turn 4. Yeah, I didn't think it would be that much of a spike. Yeah, so I was really looking forward to racing Costa Mesa next week, and yeah, I mean, I'd be really surprised if my shoulder is healed enough to race Costa Mesa. Still trying to, gear towards it, trying to look forward to that, but yeah, it's a bummer. I think I'm out of that one. Being that I am supporting the women this year, I'm not going to do a lot of the bigger races. I just wanted to race some of the local races and let the girls spend the money on the girls to do like the bigger races. But and Costa Mesa was one that I was looking forward to. So I don't know. After the day was over and the races were over, I tried to just ride the bike, like just to go to the car to to put the bike on the bike rack. And yeah, I have like no strength in that shoulder with it extended. You know, it functions okay and it's not too much pain when it's closer to my body. But if I were to like reach out to shake a hand, yeah, that's like just crazy pain. So not only crazy pain, and it gets just super weak. So yeah, it's gonna be, I don't know, it'll be hard for me to get back on the bike in a week and have any type of like strength or endurance in that shoulder. So yeah, we're pretty bunched up again here. Obviously the speeds are slow. You can see we're down to 24 miles per hour. Anytime it's slow, it's gonna bunch up, and anytime it's slow, someone's gonna attack. So just more of the same. Yeah, we're definitely all back together again. Big blob. It's my first time watching the race too. I don't usually get to watch them before I throw them out. It's one of the reasons why kind of I just kind of wing it on the videos. Like I just wing it, watch it, and kind of make comments on what I see. I don't really care too much about editing it and editing my speech and getting everything perfect. It's not that big of a deal to me. I know some people watch it and hear me say something and they want to hold me to it, but yeah, it's just not a big deal to me at all. It's just something I like doing. I watch the race, I talk about it, and I put it out. It takes too much time and energy to go back and edit something because you stumbled on your words or you misspoke or whatever. I don't really care that much. I know sometimes people get offended over what you say or put a little bit too much energy into something you say on a video, but yeah, I don't really care too much about it. Couple near misses there. Yeah, I started to follow up that right side for a second, but yeah, it just got a little too congested in there. There's no urgency right now. There's no need to rush. We still got like 7 laps to go or so. And I'm just estimating those 7 laps. I'll see if I can get a glimpse on the lap board when we go by. Yeah, that heart rate too is just definitely wrong. So I think I'm gonna throw the data for this race out. Maybe I wasn't as efficient as I thought. Maybe the reading is just not accurate. But it felt like I was efficient. I wasn't tired. I wasn't gassed. 5 laps to go. Going into the last lap, I had a lot of energy. My legs felt fresh. Thought I was going to get a very good finish. Not maybe very good, but I thought I was going to get a good finish. Definitely didn't think I'd finish on the floor. Once again, a couple near misses there. Yeah, I thought I was going to, after this race, I was feeling like, oh, I might jump into 35 plus. And, wasn't able to. They had a big crash in that race, too, going into turn 1. Yeah, Masters usually don't hit the floor as much. All right, we should be going into 4 to go. I remember ducking under that kid on the corner. Not like I was going to hit him or anything, but, you just never know. I wouldn't want, somebody to reach out or stumble or anything else, but... Yep, 4 to go. So, yeah, I definitely want to kind of move up towards the front a little bit now, not be too far back. Obviously, last week I stayed passive and I just stayed in the back, and it was the game plan. That is what I wanted to do. Is just, like I said, when you're competitive, you start getting down to those last laps. Even though you had a conservative game plan, you kind of want to start moving up. Still being patient, though. We still have time. We're going into 3 laps to go after this. You just don't want to get shuffled too far back to where you have to use a lot of energy to move up. And we're pretty far back right now, 25th, 30th spot. That's pretty far back. I think, like I said, we only have about 60 riders. Yeah, I wanted to go out to the outside with that move, but it was just too many riders coming. I would have needed to go early, and I didn't. All right, 3 to go. So now it's kind of crunch time. You want to stay towards the front for sure now. Don't want to go backwards at all, really. And as I say that, people are moving up on the right and the left. So even though I'm not going backwards, I'm still losing spots by people moving up on both sides, just because the speed's a little slow. But again, we still have 3 to go, so it's going to be another lap and a half before the speed really picks up. I think Evoke might have moved to the front now too, just to control the peloton, control the pace a little bit. Obviously, they want to pick up the pace a little bit and don't give anyone a flyer. See Pat moving up on the right side over there, taking a couple guys with them. Sometimes, I don't know, like I said, I'm not knocking anybody or anything, but, the Masters racers is supposed to be safer, but sometimes I see people taking some chances they don't really need to take, and maybe not as aware as I think they need to be, cutting off people, chopping wheels. And I don't know, throughout the race I've seen it here and there. So, again, maybe, like I said, maybe that's just bike racing. Doesn't matter what category you race. There's just some inherent risk there, and some people are a little bit more conscious or more careful, and some kind of don't care. So as you can see, we got 2 to go. The pace is picking up. I know for sure Evoke's on the front now, and they had started their train. They may have started it 2 laps ago, but when you got numbers, you definitely want to kind of control the speed. My man there wanted to get through, and I told him go ahead. I'll let him through. Wasn't a big deal, and I didn't really want to shoot up that inside anyway, so. Definitely getting shuffled a little bit further back than I want to be here, but still just trying to stay patient, stay calm. Like I said, these laps are fast, but we still have time. So again, we kind of bottlenecked here. We're going decent speed, but it does slow down for the last 2 laps. This is pretty slow for going into 2 laps. As you can see the Evoke numbers up there, there's a lot of purple up to the front. You see Bart goes to the front now to establish his position. I definitely want to move up. I'm going to take the inside here, made up a couple spots, just before the turn there. Not sitting too bad here. I'd like to be up at about the top 10 here, but I'm not too bad. I'm maybe about 15th wheel here. Getting shuffled a little by people moving up on the left side there. 1 to go, so this is the last lap. My Lagrange rider moves up here. So I didn't really take advantage of him just because I wasn't close enough, but I was able to follow him a little bit. So yeah, good spot here. About 10th, 12th wheel. Again, people are moving up on that left side there. So I feel like I'm in a pretty good spot where I'm at. I want to be a little bit further, but being that they have the lead out train on the front, I'm also thinking, hey, all of those guys aren't finishing where they're at. Some of them are using their energy now. I got a little bit of a sluggish start coming out of that corner. I see the Evoke rider kind of accelerate. I try to put in a little dig, but nothing special, just trying to get back up to a wheel here. And I think I'm still in decent position here because people are moving up on the left, which I did not notice during the race, that we're getting swarmed just a little bit on that left side. I think we need about 3 more miles per hour, and then all hell breaks loose. Yeah, so let's take a look at that and see what happens here. Yeah, let's take try a slow-mo here. Let's take a slow-mo look and see what happens. All right, so yeah, I think I'm in good position, but we are a little slow. We probably need to be about 33 miles per hour just so we won't get swarmed as you see the riders moving up on the left side. So you see the big orange rider going to the inside. Nothing wrong with that. This is, like I said, these aren't sharp turns at all. He's in a good spot. Rider 552 right here. I think he might be, one of the main players in the crash there, just because he's a little behind, a little late. And, like I said, this is the last lap, so there's a little desperation set in. And what I think happens is he sees the Evoke rider going between here, going up, moving up, and he moves in between Big Orange and Tony Dominguez right there from stage 2. The Evoke rider makes it through cleanly. So I think 552 right here in the Bahati jersey, he thinks he can make it through that spot as well. But the other Evoke rider on the other side of Tony, it looks like 522 maybe, he starts to pinch Tony to his right. So that hole gets closed there. We're here against the gutter. The Big Orange rider basically has nowhere to go. 552 tries to squeeze through that same spot. But as you can see, we're almost at like the kind of apex of this corner here. And that hole is not really there anymore. It looks like it is, but if you see the angles of the two bikes, they're kind of pinching in, and he tries to squeeze through. Now, I think when they make initial contact, they may be okay, but if you see the Big Orange rider, I think he gives a little shove with his left elbow, and I'm not blaming him. I think he's just trying to protect himself. But if you see the shove there, it throws the rider off so much, and obviously people are going down, and I almost make it here. I'm pretty locked up on the brakes, but because of the angle that his bike falls at right here, I get caught on his back wheel, and yeah, I just couldn't save it. I could have went to the right a little bit, but obviously I only had like a split second to make that move, and because I was so close to him and the speed we were going just wasn't possible. So that's the end of my day. Hopefully I do not have a broken shoulder. It feels like I kind of do, but hopefully I don't. I'll get some x-rays, and then if possible, I'll race Costa Mesa, and if not, I'll see you guys when I heal up and just get the women's races out. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.